Have you ever wondered why some people, especially Sigma females, never seem to forgive no matter how much time passes? What makes forgiveness so hard for them? Let's talk about it. Now, we all know that Sigma females march to the beat of their own drum. They're independent, self-reliant, and completely in charge of their lives. But when it comes to forgiveness, that's where things get tricky. Sigma females don't just forgive because society expects them to. They think it through, and honestly, sometimes they just can't. So what makes forgiveness such a big deal for them? Why do they often find it so difficult even when everyone else is ready to move on? Let's break it down. Forgiveness is often seen as a virtue, right? We hear it everywhere. Forgive and forget. Let it go. People say it like it's easy, but for Sigma females, forgiveness isn't automatic. It's not something you just do. It's earned. And here's the problem. The world expects everyone to forgive, and they expect it fast. But that's not the Sigma way. Forgiveness isn't about being nice or being part of the crowd. It's about respect, boundaries, and trust, things that Sigma females value above all else. So, here are the 8 reasons why Sigma females don't forgive so easily. 1. They value their peace. Sigma females guard their mental peace fiercely. If someone disrupts that, they're not quick to let it slide. It's not about holding grudges, it's about keeping their energy where it belongs, with themselves. They won't forgive because they don't want toxic energy around them. Sigma females are known for their ability to stay calm and composed no matter what life throws at them. One of the core reasons they struggle with forgiveness is that they value their peace above almost everything else. Their mental peace isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for their well-being. Unlike others who might shrug off emotional turmoil or chaos in their lives, Sigma females understand that their mind is their most powerful tool. If their peace is disturbed, they feel like they've lost control, and that's something they refuse to let happen. It's not that they're holding grudges or being overly stubborn, but they know that letting someone back into their lives who disrupts their peace isn't worth the cost. Sigma females don't forgive easily because they're fiercely protective of their inner balance. When someone wrongs them or brings unnecessary drama into their space, it creates a ripple effect that disrupts their flow. Their lives are about minimalism and focus, so anything that creates emotional clutter is immediately rejected. It's not about being mean or unforgiving, it's about preserving the energy they need to thrive. They prioritize mental clarity, and when something feels off, they know that forgiveness, especially without the right change, can lead to more disruption down the road. Sigma females don't let toxic energy seep into their lives. They understand that when you let negative energy linger, it can slowly drain you, even when you think you've moved on. That's why they choose to distance themselves from situations or people who threaten their peace. For them, letting go of toxic people or situations isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about protecting their well-being and emotional health. They're not quick to forgive because they've learned that forgiveness isn't always about healing. Sometimes it's about choosing peace over regret. They don't want to constantly revisit the same negative experiences, so they refuse to let the people who caused harm back into their lives without a clear, genuine change in behavior. They don't need anyone else's approval or validation, and that's why they won't sacrifice their peace for someone else's comfort. Sigma females are self-sufficient and independent. They are fully aware of the power they hold over their own emotions. They don't let anyone have the power to knock them off balance. When they're wronged, they take the time to process it, but if they feel that forgiveness might open the door to more toxicity, they close it firmly. It's not about holding on to negative emotions, it's about keeping their energy clean. They understand that forgiving someone who has shown no sign of change is like inviting chaos back into their world. They know that their peace is hard to come by and easily disrupted, and they won't let anyone disturb it without a serious reason. Protecting their peace isn't just a reaction, it's an active choice. A Sigma female knows when to walk away from a situation, even if that means not forgiving someone right away. They recognize that sometimes the most empowering thing they can do is let go of the situation of the person, and of the negativity that was brought into their lives. In the end, forgiveness doesn't always mean letting people back in. For Sigma females, it means protecting their peace, so they can continue to live the life they've worked so hard to build. So, if you're enjoying this video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on all things Sigma. Now, let's move on to the next point. 2. Trust is hard to rebuild. Trust isn't something Sigma females hand out easily, and once it's broken, forget it. It takes a lot to gain it back. Sigma females don't forgive because to them, trust isn't a simple thing. It's sacred. Once it's gone, it's gone. Trust is not something Sigma females give away lightly. To them, trust is not just an expectation, but a deep, sacred bond that forms the foundation of every relationship they hold dear. It's not about being overly cautious. It's about valuing their space and energy in a way that makes them protective of who they let in. When they trust someone, they open up a part of themselves that isn't easily accessible to just anyone. That trust is earned, not given. It takes time, consistency, and mutual respect to build. But once that trust is broken, it's a whole different story. Sigma females don't take betrayal lightly. If someone has crossed a line with them or violated the trust they placed in them, it's not something they're quick to forget. Once that trust is shattered, it's incredibly hard to repair. They won't just forgive and forget the way others might. To them, trust isn't just a word. It's a reflection of their emotional investment. It's a promise that, when broken, can't just be mended with a few kind words or a shallow apology. When a Sigma female experiences betrayal, it's not just an isolated event. It's a betrayal of her belief in the other person. The emotional energy she gave, the connection she built, and the trust she had are all damaged, and the scars are deep. For Sigma females, trust is not something that can be easily rebuilt. They won't just allow someone back into their lives because they apologize or because they say they've changed. It takes more than that. It takes true, visible change, actions, not just words. This is because Sigma females are not naive. They've been through enough to know that people can say anything, but it's the actions that speak louder. If those actions don't align with their words, trust remains broken. They don't have the time or energy to invest in someone who can't prove that they're worthy of being trusted again. Once a Sigma female's trust is gone, it's not just a matter of forgiveness. It's a matter of whether or not that person can show that they deserve a second chance. Sigma females are not about giving people unlimited chances. They're about protecting their emotional space and staying true to themselves. When someone betrays them, they don't see it as an isolated incident. It's a warning. It's a sign that they were wrong to trust the person in the first place. For them, rebuilding trust isn't just about forgiveness. It's about understanding that the same person who hurt them could hurt them again. And that's something Sigma females can't risk. Trust is a precious commodity that once broken often stays broken. They understand the weight of their own trust, which is why they don't just hand it out to anyone. When it's gone, they won't easily give it back. The Sigma female mindset is built on strength, self-reliance, and a keen awareness of who they allow to share in their energy. To them, trust is sacred, and once it's lost, the only way forward is with careful consideration, time, and genuine effort from the other person. If you're vibing with this content, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe for more insights. Now, let's get into the next point. 3. They don't need others' validation. Sigma females don't live to please others. They don't forgive to fit in or meet expectations. They do it for themselves. If forgiveness feels like it's going against their boundaries, they'll choose peace over conformity every time. Sigma females are not the type to live for the approval of others. They don't base their decisions on what society expects or what others think they should do. Their lives are their own, and their choices reflect that independence. When it comes to forgiveness, they don't do it to meet some outside expectation or to fit into a mold. They don't seek to please anyone by showing forgiveness if it doesn't feel right to them. For Sigma females, forgiveness is a personal decision, not a performance. It's something they do only when it aligns with their values and when it serves their own well-being. The idea that everyone should forgive in order to move on, to appear noble, or to get along is a concept foreign to them. They don't care about public approval. If forgiveness feels like it compromises their integrity or goes against their boundaries, they won't do it. Their boundaries are non-negotiable. Sigma females understand that forgiving someone who hasn't earned it can cause more harm than good. If they forgive someone for the sake of meeting someone else's expectation or to fit into a certain social narrative, they're sacrificing their own peace and sense of self. And for them, that's simply not worth it. They don't need anyone's validation to feel okay about their decisions. They know who they are and what they stand for. Their sense of self-worth doesn't rely on approval from others. Whether someone thinks they should forgive or not doesn't matter in the slightest. Their decisions are based on their own inner compass, not on external pressures. When they choose to forgive, it's because they've weighed it out and decided that it serves their well-being, not because it's what society thinks they should do. Sigma females are fiercely self-reliant and trust their own judgment above anyone else's. They're not about to let someone else dictate their emotional journey. If forgiveness feels like it would cause them to lose sight of their values, they will walk away instead. They understand that true peace comes from being true to themselves, and they won't sacrifice that for the sake of doing the right thing in someone else's eyes. They also recognize that forgiveness is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Just because society says forgiveness is essential doesn't mean it's right for every situation. They understand that forgiveness is personal. If they don't feel ready, or if it feels like the person hasn't truly changed, they won't give in to societal pressure. Their peace is paramount. They know that forcing forgiveness when they're not ready is an act of self-betrayal, not growth. Choosing peace over conformity is a consistent theme in their lives. If forgiveness doesn't bring peace or doesn't feel authentic, Sigma females will choose to walk away from the situation instead. They're not about to conform to other people's ideals of forgiveness just to keep the peace externally. For them, true peace is internal, and it's worth protecting. So when Sigma females don't forgive, it's not out of stubbornness or pride, it's out of self-respect. They don't need the validation of others to justify their choices. They know that the only approval that matters is their own. If forgiveness serves their peace and sense of self, they'll consider it. But if it doesn't, they'll choose to keep moving forward on their own terms. 4. Their fiercely independent Sigma females don't rely on anyone for their happiness. If someone hurts them, it's not the end of the world. They move on because their worth is never tied to others. Forgiveness isn't about them needing to feel better. It's about them keeping control over their lives. Sigma females are incredibly independent, and this trait is central to who they are. They don't rely on others to make them feel complete, validated, or fulfilled. Their happiness isn't something they depend on other people to provide. They understand that their worth comes from within, not from external sources. If someone hurts them, they don't fall apart. They don't need anyone else to feel whole. When something goes wrong, they handle it on their own terms. For Sigma females, forgiveness isn't about finding closure or emotional healing from someone else's actions. It's not about needing someone's apology or seeking validation from the person who wronged them. Forgiveness, for them, isn't about feeling better emotionally or fixing the situation. It's about maintaining control over their lives. They won't let someone's actions or words have the power to derail them. Their strength lies in their ability to stand firm and move forward, regardless of how others behave. Sigma females don't let their emotions depend on other people's treatment of them. They've learned that their emotional well-being can't be dictated by someone else's behavior. If someone betrays them, it's not an automatic loss of control. They don't need anyone's approval to feel good about themselves. Their sense of worth is built on their own achievements, mindset, and self-assurance. They know who they are and what they bring to the table, and that knowledge is their anchor. Forgiveness doesn't come from a need to please others or to maintain a social connection. It's not a way to fix relationships or avoid conflict. For Sigma females, it's about preserving their independence and control. If forgiving someone means that they'll allow that person to continue taking up space in their emotional world, they'll pass on it. They won't let anyone's actions hold them hostage emotionally. Their sense of self is too strong to be shaken by external factors. Sigma females also understand that forgiveness isn't an automatic pass to continue allowing people who hurt them into their lives. If someone has wronged them, they might forgive, but they won't necessarily allow that person to continue to have access to them. Forgiveness for them is about choosing not to let the situation control them, but it doesn't mean they'll let the person back in. Their independence means that they can walk away from toxic situations without hesitation. Their life doesn't revolve around anyone else, and they won't let anyone make them feel small or less than. They don't need anyone else to validate their feelings, actions, or choices. They make decisions based on what aligns with their values and goals, not on what others think or want from them. Moving on is easy for them because they know their value doesn't decrease just because someone else made a mistake. They don't let betrayal or hurt change who they are. Sigma females are the architects of their own happiness, and no one has the power to take that away. If they choose to forgive, it's because they've decided it won't affect their peace. But if they decide it's not worth forgiving, they move on, knowing that their emotional strength is theirs to maintain. Don't forget to like, comment your own experiences, and subscribe to keep up with all our future videos. Let's jump to the next reason. 5. They know their worth. Sigma females don't put up with disrespect. If you cross a line with them, there's a good chance you won't be given a second chance. Why? Because they value themselves too much to keep people around who don't treat them right. Sigma females know their worth, and that's something that guides everything they do. They don't need to seek validation from others because they have a deep, unshakable understanding of who they are. Their sense of self is solid. They don't need anyone to remind them of their value. They already know. This inner knowing is what makes them so confident and unapologetically independent. They carry themselves with a level of self-respect that others can easily recognize. When someone disrespects them, they don't tolerate it, and they don't allow it to slide. Sigma females aren't the type to brush things off or try to understand why someone wronged them. They don't make excuses for bad behavior. If you cross a line with them, don't expect to be forgiven easily. The chances of a second opportunity are slim, and that's because Sigma females have a high standard for how they should be treated. Their boundaries are clear, and they know what they will and won't accept. If someone doesn't respect those boundaries, there's no reason for them to stick around. They value their peace too much to allow toxic behavior to persist. Sigma females understand that life is short, and they refuse to waste their time on people who don't treat them with the respect they deserve. They know their worth, and because of that, they won't put up with anyone who tries to diminish it. If someone makes them feel less than or disrespects them in any way, it's not just a minor issue. It's a red flag that tells them everything they need to know about that person. They won't allow anyone who doesn't value them to stick around because they understand that their energy is valuable. They don't waste it on people who don't appreciate what they bring to the table. Sigma females don't believe in giving people multiple chances to hurt them. They won't allow the same behavior to repeat itself because once their trust is broken or their boundaries are crossed, it's hard to rebuild. They don't have the time or emotional energy to keep repeating the same cycle. If you disrespect them once, that's enough for them to walk away and never look back. They don't need people in their lives who can't see their worth. The people who surround them must respect them, because that's the only way a connection will ever be meaningful to a Sigma female. They don't settle for less. Sigma females don't forgive just to keep the peace or avoid conflict. If forgiveness doesn't align with their sense of self-respect, they won't do it. They will move on, knowing that they deserve better. They choose to keep people who uplift them, respect them, and add value to their lives. Anyone who fails to do that is simply not worth their time. At the end of the day, Sigma females understand that they are the only ones responsible for maintaining their self-worth. They don't allow others to define their value. They know they're worthy of respect, love, and loyalty, and if anyone fails to give that to them, they won't hesitate to let them go. This self-awareness is what makes Sigma females so magnetic, because they are confident in who they are and they don't need anyone else's approval to prove their value. 6. Forgiveness can feel like weakness. For many Sigma females, forgiving someone too easily feels like giving up their power. It's not about being bitter. It's about maintaining their autonomy and strength. Letting go too easily feels like a loss of control, and they don't do loss of control. For many Sigma females, forgiveness doesn't come easily because it can sometimes feel like a loss of power. It's not that they're bitter or unable to let go of the past, but the act of forgiving someone too easily feels like surrendering control over their own emotions and boundaries. Sigma females are fiercely independent, and their strength lies in maintaining control over their lives, their choices, and how they respond to the world around them. Forgiveness, in their eyes, is not just about releasing someone else from their wrongdoings. It's about releasing the hold they have over their own emotional state. Letting go too quickly, without proper reflection or change in the person who wronged them, feels like they're giving away their autonomy, and that's something they can't tolerate. When a Sigma female forgives too soon, or without feeling like the situation has been resolved, it feels like she's losing ground. She believes that forgiveness should be earned and should come with a genuine shift in behavior. Without that change, forgiving someone can feel like letting that person back into her life with the same ability to hurt her again, and that's a risk she's not willing to take. For Sigma females, their sense of autonomy and control is non-negotiable. If forgiving someone means allowing them back into their emotional world without change, it feels like they're relinquishing their power and opening the door for future disrespect. They don't believe in making concessions just to keep the peace or avoid confrontation. To them, forgiveness is an act of strength, but it must be done on their terms. If it feels like a power struggle or like they're letting someone off the hook without real accountability, they won't forgive. This is not about being vengeful or spiteful. It's about maintaining their emotional strength and making sure that no one gets to dictate how they feel. Sigma females refuse to be manipulated, and forgiving someone too easily might feel like giving that person the upper hand. For them, it's about taking control of their own life and making decisions that protect their peace and integrity. They won't allow forgiveness to be something that drains them or leaves them vulnerable. Their power comes from setting clear boundaries and sticking to them, and forgiveness without the proper acknowledgement of the hurt can undermine those boundaries. If forgiving someone feels like sacrificing their self-respect, they won't do it. They'd rather walk away and maintain their strength than give in to the pressure of doing the right thing just to conform. This doesn't mean they're holding on to grudges or living in anger. It simply means they're making a choice to protect their emotional and mental health. They'll forgive, but it will only be when it truly serves their sense of self, and not when it feels like an obligation or something they should do to please others. Sigma females are not afraid to be strong in their decision-making, and if forgiving someone doesn't align with their sense of control and autonomy, they'll pass on it. They know that real strength comes from standing firm in what feels right to them, and forgiveness, when it's done, is just one part of maintaining that power. 7. They expect the same energy back. Sigma females are not about fake kindness or shallow apologies. If you've wronged them, they expect real change, not just empty words. If forgiveness isn't backed by genuine change, they'll just walk away. And that's because their time and energy are precious. Sigma females don't have time for fake kindness or shallow apologies. They're not interested in words that don't match actions. When someone wrongs them, they expect something real in return, not just empty promises or a quick "I'm sorry" meant to smooth things over. Forgiveness isn't something they hand out lightly, and it's not something they do just to get people off their backs. If you've hurt them, you better be prepared to show genuine change. For a Sigma female, actions speak louder than words, and if there's no real effort to make things right, they won't waste their time. They believe in reciprocity. They give respect, energy, and kindness, but they expect the same in return. If someone can't offer that in an authentic way, they'll walk away without hesitation. It's not about holding grudges or being vengeful, it's about protecting their energy. Sigma females understand the value of their time and emotional resources. They don't allow people who take from them without giving anything back to continue in their lives. If someone expects them to forgive, they better be prepared to back up that request with real change. Saying sorry doesn't cut it. They want to see growth, accountability, and effort. Without that, forgiveness isn't an option, it's just a waste of their time and energy. For Sigma females, forgiveness isn't a free pass to continue treating them poorly. If you haven't changed, or if you don't demonstrate that you understand how you've wronged them, they'll choose to move on instead. They won't keep investing in someone who hasn't shown they're worthy of that investment. Time is one of the most precious resources a Sigma female has, and she won't spend it on people who don't value her. If someone doesn't respect her boundaries or fails to put in the effort to make things right, forgiveness becomes irrelevant. Why waste energy on someone who hasn't changed? Sigma females don't do surface-level relationships. They value depth, authenticity, and trust, and if those things are broken, they need to see a real shift to consider giving forgiveness. Without that change, they simply won't be interested. It's not about being unforgiving or bitter, it's about self-respect. They know their worth, and they're not about to lower their standards just because someone else expects them to. If they don't see genuine remorse or transformation, they'll walk away and never look back. Their emotional space is sacred, and they're careful about who they let into it. Sigma females understand that real connections are built on mutual respect and effort. If someone can't provide that, they don't need to keep them around. They would rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't match their energy. Forgiveness for them is not a means to let someone off the hook. It's about deciding whether the relationship is worth salvaging. If it's not, they'll move on, knowing they didn't waste their energy on something that wasn't built on real change. 8. They've been burned before. One thing you'll learn about Sigma females: they've been through a lot. They've learned the hard way that sometimes forgiveness doesn't lead to healing, it leads to more pain. They don't forgive easily because they've built up resilience through the lessons of their past. They know that giving people a pass too quickly only invites more hurt. Sigma females have been through a lot in life. They've faced challenges, dealt with betrayal, and experienced the kind of pain that can leave a mark. But rather than allowing that pain to break them, they've used it to build strength, resilience, and wisdom. They've learned from their past experiences that sometimes forgiveness doesn't lead to healing. It leads to more hurt. They've been burned before, and those burns have taught them to be cautious about who they let back into their emotional world. When someone wrongs them, it's not just an isolated incident. It's a reminder of past experiences where forgiveness didn't fix things, it only prolonged the pain. Sigma females don't forgive easily because they know the value of their time, energy, and emotions. They've put themselves in situations where they forgave people too quickly, hoping things would change, only to find out that the behavior didn't stop. In fact, it often got worse. They've learned that giving people a pass before seeing real change only opens the door for more disappointment and hurt. It's not that they're unforgiving, it's that they've learned the hard way that some people don't deserve second chances, at least not without earning them. The lessons they've learned have made them cautious with their forgiveness, and rightly so. They've been through too much to allow themselves to be vulnerable to the same people or situations again. They now understand that forgiving too soon can be an invitation for someone to repeat the same behavior, causing more emotional damage. It's a defense mechanism. They're not trying to be closed off or bitter. They're simply protecting themselves from repeating painful patterns. The past has shown them that some people don't change, and giving them another chance to hurt them only invites more heartache. Sigma females value their peace too much to risk letting someone back in without seeing a genuine change in their behavior. They won't allow history to repeat itself, especially when it comes to their emotional well-being. They've been burned before, and they've learned that some people only take advantage of forgiveness if it's offered too easily. They've built resilience from these experiences, but it doesn't mean they're willing to put themselves through the same cycle again. They've learned to recognize when someone is genuinely remorseful and when they're just trying to move past their mistakes without real accountability. Forgiveness is earned, not given freely. Sigma females understand that now. They've experienced enough to know that people can say all the right things, but words mean nothing without action to back them up. They don't want to get burned again. It's not about being cold-hearted. It's about self-preservation. They've been through the fire and emerged stronger, and they'll never let anyone take advantage of their forgiveness again without showing real change. So when Sigma females choose not to forgive quickly, it's because they're protecting their emotional health. They've learned the lessons of the past, and those lessons have made them wiser, more cautious, and more discerning about who deserves their trust and their forgiveness. So, here's the key. Sigma females don't forgive easily because they understand that forgiving too quickly can undermine their sense of self. For them, it's all about autonomy and control. Forgiveness isn't something they hand out to make others feel better or because it's expected of them. No, for Sigma females, forgiveness is deeply connected to their identity. They've worked hard to create a sense of independence and strength, and forgiving too soon can feel like they're letting someone else dictate their emotional state. It's not about being petty or holding a grudge. It's about staying true to who they are. When they forgive someone, it's a decision they make for themselves, not for anyone else. If that forgiveness feels forced or too quick, it feels like a compromise, like they're giving up some piece of their power. They've been through enough to know that they can't afford to let anyone take that from them. Their peace, their boundaries, and their sense of self are too important to be sacrificed just to keep the peace or to meet someone else's expectations. Forgiving someone before they've shown real change feels like giving up control of their emotional space, and that's something Sigma females will never do. They know that if they allow forgiveness too easily, they might be inviting the same behavior back into their lives. Sigma females won't risk that. They won't allow someone's actions to compromise their sense of control or their inner peace. They understand that their emotions are their own to manage, and they take that responsibility seriously. Forgiveness, when it's offered, must be genuine, earned, and aligned with their own values. If it doesn't meet those criteria, they'd rather walk away than compromise their integrity. That's the key. For a Sigma female, forgiveness is about maintaining control over their emotional world. They're not going to let anyone take that away from them, no matter how much society or others around them pressure them to move on or let it go. Now, I know forgiveness is a complex topic. It's personal, and everyone has their own way of dealing with it. Some people find it easy to forgive, while others struggle with it, and that's okay. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to forgiveness. But for Sigma females, the road to forgiveness isn't straightforward. It's not just about letting go of anger or hurt. It's about respect, boundaries, trust, and staying true to who they are. They're not going to forgive just because it's expected, or because it makes someone else feel better. They do it when they feel it's right for them, and that's what makes their forgiveness so powerful. So, if you're a Sigma female, don't feel bad for holding your ground. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for choosing to protect your peace, your boundaries, and your emotional health. It's your life, your rules. You get to decide when and how you forgive, and if that means walking away from someone who doesn't respect you, then so be it. You know your worth, and you're not going to let anyone take that away from you. I'd love to hear what you think. Have you ever struggled with forgiveness as a Sigma female? Drop a comment below and share your story. Let's talk about it. Also, make sure to check out my other videos for more insights into the Sigma female mindset. You're not alone. Let's keep this conversation going. You got this.